folks, what's going on? It's Josh Thomas here from the BitBlock. I'm sorry, I've always wanted to start a video with, hey folks. I don't know why. I think it's really weird when people say folks. Hey folks. It's a strange greeting. I really wanted to do it once. Hey, what's up guys? It's Josh here from the BitBlock with a horrible intro to this video, but we're gonna run with it. Guys, gals, today I am gonna be talking with you, it's a casual video anyways. I'm gonna be talking with you about reasons as to why I think the Nintendo Switch will succeed bigly. Alright? I know 3 reasons doesn't sound like the biggest catalog of support, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just go into it. 3 reasons that the Nintendo Switch is going to succeed bigly. Yes, I'm using the word bigly. It's a great word. Okay, listen. For as crappy as this video has been, trust me, it can only go up from here. Number 1. The Switch is going to be the all-in-one Nintendo platform. This is something that people have, of course, talked about, but I don't know if it's really set into a lot of people's brains. I always use this analogy, so maybe it's a little tiresome by now, but imagine every Nintendo game, every first-party game that arrived on a Nintendo platform between 2010 and 2016, whether they be on the Wii, 3DS, or Wii U. Imagine if all of those games were on one Nintendo machine. Imagine how grand and high quality and beefy that catalog of games would be. There's no way that it couldn't be a success. I am going to go on record. Get your pens and get your quill pens and everything and put on your glasses and write this down in the record books. Josh Thomas, February 14th, 2017. The Nintendo Switch cannot fail. Mathematically, it cannot fail. There will be too many first-party games on this device for it to fail. So yeah, all-in-one Nintendo system. No longer are the games split up between the handheld and the home console. They're all in one machine. That's going to be huge. Nintendo has approximately 24 developers working with them as first-party or second-party developers. 24 developers working on nothing but Nintendo Switch games? It's huge. That's going to be amazing. Now, I know that like for the first year or so, you'll still get a few little things coming to the 3DS, but believe me, after about a year, when this thing is already really showing signs of being a big success, they're going to move all development fully onto the Switch. And it's great. It's going to be amazing. So I think that's one of my favorite things about the console in general. Just the fact that everything is on one system. That's great. So that's my first reason as to why the Nintendo Switch will succeed bigly. I think it's a pretty good reason. So next, and by the way, I want to point out that we have not had a situation like this for a long time. In fact, Nintendo really hasn't existed in a sense to where they only had one machine. Because there was like, back in the Game Boy days, that was like the early 90s, and before that, even in like the NES era, they had like the Game & Watch stuff where they were developed. Game & Watch wasn't the biggest intense development cycle, but still, it's a rare era that we are entering where Nintendo is going to be putting their focus on one video game device. And like I said, yeah, we'll get some things for the 3DS, but that's going to die off eventually in about a year or so, and they will be fully into just making games for the Switch. I'm going to throw this out there. They will make another handheld machine, but it will play Switch games. It'll be like a Switch Lite or like a Switch Go, to where it's a Switch thing. You can't take the Joy-Cons off of it, and you know, it's maybe smaller, it's a little bit cheaper, maybe not as sexy, but it'll be like the same thing. You'll still play those Switch games on the new, cheaper, portable Switch Go handheld thing. But we really are entering an amazing era of Nintendo where we get everything on one device. I've talked about this too much. I know, I gotta move on, but hopefully you'll agree with me on that. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you agree. Next up, this is a big one. The Nintendo Switch, based on everything we've pretty much heard from third-party developers and even Nintendo, is incredibly easy to develop for. In fact, there have been multiple third-party developers who have gone on record and said the Switch, out of the Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch, the Switch is the easiest to develop for. That's fantastic news. Not only for third-party support, but also just in terms of first-party support. They won't have to struggle so much with this weird, archaic hardware. I think the Wii U was actually pretty powerful, and I wasn't really disappointed with it, but the way that it was constructed and designed internally was really half-assed. I have a buddy of mine who made a game, Song of Seven, and he was talking about how difficult and weird it was to try and get it to work on the Wii U. And so, yeah, it's really weird to develop on the Wii U. Now, with the Switch, that doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. The Switch supports Unreal Engine. Many indie games and third-party games are made on the Unreal Engine, so it'll be much easier for them to get over here. One of my favorite games coming to the Switch from like a third-party developer, indie developer, is Snake Pass. And they had Snake Pass up and running on their Switch dev kit in around a week, like 7 days or so. That's fantastic, that's amazing, and that's really going to encourage more games. So, the fact that the Switch is easier to develop for is a huge sign of future success. That's a big step forward, I feel. Not only just for third parties and indie developers, but also Nintendo in general. Nintendo likes to use proprietary engines for their games, and they were talking about, Nintendo was, Mr. Miyamoto I think was the one who said it, they're like really familiar with the Unreal Engine now, so it'll be interesting if Nintendo decides to start making some games using Unreal Engine. That could be really cool and impressive. I think the idea of making your own game engines is weird nowadays, because it's a lot of extra work, but we'll see how that goes. But regardless, we know for a fact the Switch is easy to develop for, and Nintendo is really open to helping out any third-party or indie developers should they run into any problems. So I think we're going to see some great support on this system simply because of how easy it is to develop for. Last but not least, this is something that I don't know if a lot of people have spoken of this, and you guys can let me know if you've heard this before. You probably have. But I really think that people need to talk about how, yeah, the launch for the Switch is maybe not the most explosive, oh my god, we've got Mario and Zelda and, tons of these games. What I like, and I think this is very key to the success of the Switch, they seem to be really finally balancing out their releases. They are, one of the problems that even Mr. Iwata had mentioned in the past was how they did a poor job of making sure there weren't gaps in their releases. Listen, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. You're probably a huge Nintendo fan. Let's be honest with ourselves. As Nintendo fans, we pretty much just live for the holiday season. September, October, November, and December. Those are the 4 months when we basically get the games that we want to play. There are a few released in the summertime, but it's mostly Japan that gets the games in the summertime, like 1 or 2 of them. But there's just massive droughts on Nintendo systems. With the Switch, I don't think we're going to see that. And I think it's definitely something Nintendo needs to address, and it looks like all signs are pointing towards the fact that they are addressing it finally. I think this is something Mr. Kimishima is definitely to thank for. I love Mr. Iwata, I always will. I think he's one of my favorite Nintendo employees, if not maybe my favorite Nintendo employee. But he did struggle to get games releasing on a good schedule. But it seems like Mr. Kimishima is finally taking the wheel and making that happen. We've got a launch with a massive Legend of Zelda game. Then in April, that's March of course, and we've got stuff like Snipper Clips and 1-2-Switch. And then in April, we've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. In May, it's likely that we're going to get ARMS, that's a spring release. Then, summertime is Splatoon 2, that's gonna bring us into the autumn, and that'll probably be stuff like Super Mario Odyssey. I'm sure there will be things announced at this summer's E3 in June that will come out in the fall, probably September, October, November, December area. So, and there's still stuff for Nintendo to announce. So if you look at the release schedule, and you look at when things are releasing, I think it's totally clear that Nintendo is making a much better, they're striving to make sure that there's a better release schedule going on to where there isn't a big drought anymore. Mr. Kimishima has spoken about this quite a bit, and it seems like it is happening. So, to recap, my 3 reasons as to why I think the Nintendo Switch will succeed bigly is it is an all-in-one Nintendo system. No more are the releases scattered across multi-platforms. Every laser is firing at one target to explode us with joy. So I'm very, very excited about that. All in one, all games for one machine. It's gonna be amazing. I mean, you won't even be able to afford, probably, the catalog on the Switch. So many games. Then, it's also easy to develop for. Like I said, it supports Unreal Engine. Many developers are talking about how it's the easiest of the 3 to develop for. Mwah, perfect. And then finally, it looks like Nintendo is, in fact, addressing the problem of having so many big gaps between their major, interesting game releases. So that's fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching this little casual video where I discussed 3 reasons why I think the Nintendo Switch will succeed bigly. Be sure to leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. What are some things that you think will be very successful in terms of the Switch? What are some reasons why you think the Switch will succeed? And if you want to be a little you can leave a comment below and let me know why you think the Switch is gonna fail. If you want to. I mean, you don't have to do that. I mean, there's enough hate on the internet about the Switch right now, so maybe talk about why you think it's gonna be a success. I think it will be, so yeah. Keep it locked right here, guys, to the BitBlock for a lot more coverage on the Nintendo Switch. Still trying, oh, that was a good snap. Still trying to get that snap right. Ooh.